Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
You think you know Pulp Fiction? These wild Tarantino facts will make you see the movie in a way you never imagined. Fact 1.
Fuck is this place?
This is Jack Rabbit Slim's.
Most people picture Tarantino hunched over a typewriter, but Pulp Fiction began in coffee shops in Amsterdam. Tarantino fled Los Angeles to avoid distractions. He wrote entire scenes by hand in spiral-bound notebooks. He'd spend mornings wandering the city streets and then park himself in cafes all afternoon. The structure of the film, told out of order, came from his notebook shuffle. He moved entire scenes around with scissors and tape. He wanted it to feel like a novel you could pick up and read in any order. He also watched European crime movies for inspiration. He said the freedom he felt in Amsterdam unlocked the script's weirdness. No laptop, no Final Draft software, just pen and paper. His notes were so messy that friends teased him they'd never get typed up. He brought the handwritten drafts back to LA to polish with Roger Avary, his co-story writer. The Gold Watch story with Bruce Willis came directly from those early scribbles. Without Amsterdam, Tarantino said, the film might never have gotten done. That city gave him the distance to write a crime story about LA that felt fresh. You can still find interviews where he talks about wandering the canals with plot twists in his head. It's proof that sometimes you have to leave home to write about home. No studio notes, no agents hovering, just Tarantino, coffee, and his pen. And that's how one of the greatest screenplays of all time came to life. Fact 2.
So, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna say goodnight, I've had a very lovely evening. Walk out the door, get in the car, go home, jerk off, and that's all you're gonna do.
When John Travolta signed on, his career was ice cold. He hadn't starred in a major hit in years. Tarantino fought for him when the studio wanted bigger stars. Travolta agreed to do the film for just $150,000. The funny part? His iconic black suit was an authentic Armani that cost around $2,000. Travolta had to buy multiple versions for continuity. Wardrobe was a huge part of reviving his cool image. His dancing scene with Thurman is now legendary. Travolta trained for days to get the twist just right. He based it partly on old Dick Clark dance clips. Rumors say Tarantino gave him hash brownies to loosen up on set. Travolta laughed about it later, calling it research. The entire budget for his hair gel alone was rumored to be more than his daily rate. His role as Vincent Vega brought him back into Hollywood's A-list overnight. He got an Oscar nomination and a new generation discovered him. His comeback changed his whole life, thanks to a cheap suit and a twist contest. Travolta has said he'll be grateful to Tarantino forever. Without that faith, he might never have gotten Get Shorty or Face Off. Sometimes the smallest paychecks create the biggest moments. And Vincent Vega's suit was worth every penny. Fact 3.
We happy? Vincent, we happy?
Yeah, we happy.
People have debated for decades what's in Marcellus Wallace's briefcase. Tarantino has never confirmed a single answer. One theory says it's his soul, based on the bandage on Wallace's neck. Others think it's gold bars because of the golden glow. But the truth? Tarantino and co-writer Roger Avary borrowed the idea from Kiss Me Deadly, 1955. In that film, a glowing suitcase contains radioactive material. Tarantino loved that it was never fully explained. He wanted the briefcase to be a MacGuffin, something important but meaningless. He and Avary settled on the glowing light as a nod to film noir. The prop department used a hidden orange bulb inside the case. Whenever someone opened it, the crew flipped a switch off camera. Actors were told to react like it was the most beautiful thing they'd ever seen. The glow made it feel mythical, even if it was empty. Tarantino has laughed that he doesn't care what fans think is inside. He says the real point is that it drives the story forward. It's one of cinema's most famous unsolved mysteries. The briefcase reminds you not every question needs an answer, and that makes it even cooler. Sometimes a glow is all you need to spark a legend. Fact 4.
Don't fucking talk to me that way, man.
If my answers frighten you, Vincent, then you should cease asking scary questions.
Samuel L. Jackson's Jules Winfield is one of the coolest characters ever. But Jackson nearly missed out on the part. A young actor named Paul Calderon gave a killer audition for the role. Studio execs were convinced Calderon should play Jules. Jackson flew back to LA after hearing the news. He marched into the audition room and blew everyone away. He delivered his lines with so much fire he was spitting on the casting director. Tarantino called it the best audition he'd ever seen. Jackson secured the role on the spot. Calderon still appears in the movie as Paul the bartender. Jackson's look, black suit, jerry curl, and soul patch, was his own idea. His Ezekiel 25:17 speech became an instant classic. Jackson said he based Jules partly on old blaxploitation heroes. He wore the same suit and tie through every scene to keep Jules timeless. The studio went from doubting him to pushing him for an Oscar. Jackson got a Best Supporting Actor nomination, but didn't win. Fans still quote his lines word for word. Without that second audition, we'd have lost one of cinema's greatest hitmen. Sometimes you have to fight for the role you know is yours, and Samuel L. Jackson did just that. Fact 5.
Why do you feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's hard to imagine Pulp Fiction without Uma Thurman's iconic Mia Wallace. But Uma nearly passed on the role. She was only 23 and had just had her first child. She thought the drug overdose scene was too intense. Tarantino refused to take no for an answer. He read the script to her over the phone, every word, acting out each line. Uma later said his passion won her over. She agreed to take the role on one condition. She wanted to build Mia's look herself. The black bob, red lipstick, and cropped trousers were her idea. She pulled inspiration from 1950s French New Wave actresses. She even helped choose the exact shade of Chanel lipstick. Tarantino trusted her vision completely. Her dance scene with Travolta became one of cinema's most memorable moments. Behind the scenes, Uma was terrified of dancing in front of the crew. Travolta took her to a real twist club to practice. She later said she felt awkward and goofy, which made it perfect. Fans still copy her style at Halloween every year. The Mia Wallace poster is one of the most recognizable movie images ever, and it nearly didn't happen. Sometimes one yes, after a lot of persuasion, creates a legend. Fact 6.
God damn, it's a pretty fucking good milkshake.
Told you.
I don't know if it was worth $5, but it was pretty fucking good.
When Vincent Vega complains about paying $5 for Mia's milkshake, he wasn't wrong. That was expensive. On set, the prop department made sure the milkshake really cost about $5. They used the best ice cream they could find in LA. They made dozens of test shakes to get the texture just right. It had to be thick enough to sip slowly, but not so stiff it clogged the straw. Travolta drank at least 10 during filming that diner scene. Between takes, Uma Thurman kept giggling at how serious he was about the price. The prop master swears the shake actually tasted amazing. They experimented with real vanilla beans instead of artificial syrup. Tarantino loved the line so much he used it in early drafts, word for word. It was based on a real moment he had at a diner in Beverly Hills. He once complained about a pricey shake and then paid for it anyway. Vincent's reaction, "It's a pretty good milkshake," was Travolta's own ad-lib. It made the scene feel totally real. Fans still visit diners in LA and quote the line when ordering. Some restaurants even serve the $5 shake as a tribute. It's one of those tiny details that proves Tarantino obsesses over everyday things. Sometimes the smallest line becomes the one everyone remembers. And that $5 turned out to be priceless. Fact 7. Tarantino always writes with actors in mind. For Pulp Fiction, he built characters around people he adored. Vincent Vega was always for Travolta, despite studio pushback. He wrote Winston Wolfe for Harvey Keitel because Keitel helped get Reservoir Dogs made. But not every actor said yes right away. Michael Madsen, who played Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs, was supposed to be Vincent's brother. He turned it down to do Wyatt Earp instead. Tarantino begged him to reconsider. Madsen later said it's his biggest career regret. Tarantino offered Butch to Matt Dillon first. Dillon hesitated and lost the role to Bruce Willis. Even Uma Thurman needed convincing, as you know. He gave Samuel L. Jackson the script before the casting call. Tarantino says he'd rather wait than miscast someone. He wants actors who get his dialogue. It's why his films feel tailor-made for each performance. The loyalty goes both ways. Many actors return for multiple Tarantino films. That's how he builds a kind of cinematic family. Sometimes the roles that click are the ones written just for you, and Pulp Fiction is proof it works. Fact 8. Tarantino is a walking encyclopedia of cult cinema. Pulp Fiction is packed with references that most people miss. The Jack Rabbit Slim's dance contest was inspired by an old Fellini scene. The mysterious briefcase is a nod to Kiss Me Deadly. The bandage on Marcellus Wallace's neck, an homage to Citizen Kane and urban myths. The glowing suitcase idea was also used in Repo Man. When Butch grabs a samurai sword, it's pure Sonny Chiba tribute. Tarantino once said he wanted every prop to feel like it came from a different movie. Even the fake TV pilots Vincent mentions are based on real 1950s shows. The cereal bowl Butch eats from is a brand Tarantino loved as a kid. The Gold Watch story references an old Rod Serling script. Tarantino stuffed the script with Easter eggs for movie nerds. He wanted audiences to feel like they were watching 1,000 B-movies smashed together. Even the diner robbers' lines echo 1930s gangster flicks. He keeps the references vague enough for fans to debate forever. It's his way of paying tribute to the films that inspired him. Some viewers catch them on the 10th watch. It turns Pulp Fiction into a film you can pick apart for decades. And that's exactly how Tarantino likes it. Fact 9.
A pack of red apples.
Builders.
Bruce Willis was already a huge star when Pulp Fiction came around. He wanted the role of Butch so badly he took a smaller paycheck. Willis knew the movie's budget was tight and wanted to help Tarantino. He saw it as a chance to break out of the bland action hero mold. His career needed a shakeup after some box office flops. He flew himself to the table red at his own expense. Tarantino wrote Butch as a washed-up boxer, partly for Willis. Bruce insisted on doing his own stunts for the boxing flashbacks. He even helped choreograph the pawnshop fight. His chemistry with Ving Rhames made their scenes electric. Willis loved the tension in the Gold Watch story. He said it felt like an old noir thriller, just updated. His loyalty paid off when the film went nuclear at Cannes. Willis got street cred with indie audiences again. That goodwill carried him into 12 Monkeys and The Fifth Element. Years later, he called Pulp Fiction his best decision of the 90s. Taking a pay cut to work with Tarantino made him cool again. Sometimes you have to bet on yourself to stay relevant. Butch Coolidge brought Willis back in the game, with a samurai sword in hand. Fact 10. Before Pulp Fiction, no one wanted to bankroll gritty, talky crime films. Hollywood was hooked on big-budget blockbusters. Then Tarantino dropped this indie bombshell in 1994. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and made over $200 million worldwide. Every studio suddenly wanted their own edgy, violent, funny crime flick. It inspired a wave of imitators like Go, Things to Do in Denver, When You're Dead, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. The word Tarantino-esque entered film reviews overnight. Video rental stores couldn't keep crime indies on the shelves. Screenwriters flooded studios with scripts full of pop culture chatter. Even music changed. Surf rock came back into playlists. Miramax became a powerhouse on the back of Pulp Fiction's profits. It gave indie filmmakers hope that weird ideas could make millions. Tarantino showed you didn't need explosions to shock people, just smart dialogue and guts. The film's non-linear structure influenced everything from TV shows to commercials. Without Pulp Fiction, you probably don't get Breaking Bad or Snatch. It rewired pop culture forever, all from a script Tarantino scribbled in Amsterdam cafes. Sometimes one film kicks down doors for everyone else, and Pulp Fiction kicked them wide open. Bonus fact. One of the most talked about mysteries in Pulp Fiction is the glowing briefcase. Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield are sent to retrieve it, but we never find out what's inside. When the case is opened, a golden light spills out, mesmerizing anyone who sees it. That simple visual turned into one of the most iconic cinematic mysteries of all time. So what's in the case? Tarantino never gives a straight answer, but that hasn't stopped fans from speculating for decades. One of the most popular fan theories? It contains Marcellus Wallace's soul. According to the theory, the devil took his soul from the back of his head. That's why Wallace has a band-aid on the back of his neck throughout the movie, and the briefcase's combination, 666, only adds to the theory. But is it true? Probably not. Tarantino has said the case was just a plot device, what filmmakers call a MacGuffin. Its purpose was to drive the story, not to be explained. Still, by leaving it a mystery, he made it unforgettable. Sometimes, not knowing is more fun than the real answer. And in true Tarantino fashion, it's all about the vibe. Gold light, cool dialogue, and a whole lot of questions.